Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tell Your Story. I'm your host, Todd Nesloney. I'm an elementary principal in Texas, and each week I seek to bring you people who have inspired me, encouraged me, or challenged me in some way, and allow them to share a piece of their story in hopes that it inspires you to be brave enough and share some of yours as well. I am thrilled, so thrilled this week to have my friend and special guest, Katie Mense, here with me. Katie, thank you so much. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about who you are?
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me, Todd. I'm so humbled that you would ask me to be on Tell Your Story. But my name is Katie Mense. I started a blog, I don't know, about 8 years ago now, called Little Kinder Warriors. And from there, I just kind of jumped in, when blogs were new, and it just kind of snowballed from there. So here I am. I've been teaching kindergarten for 15 years. So I've always been in kindergarten, and kindergarten is just my passion. I love it so much. Seeing the growth that they make from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. I feel like it's just like the most rewarding job like you could possibly have on the planet. So I just love it. And I'm somebody that I love like junk. So I kind of like do it backwards. Like I'll go, to Target Dollar Spot or the Dollar Tree, and I find just junk, and I'm like, oh, how could I use that? How could I, bring some novelty into the classroom and use that little piece of junk to make it fun. And my husband kind of makes fun of me, and he's always like, did you really need to buy? I'm like, it was only $1, Chris.
But that Target Dollar Spot keeps teachers in business.
Yeah, but he's like, yeah, Kate, but when you buy 50 of them, it's $50. So I kind of get myself in trouble sometimes for that.
Well, you talk to me a little about why you became a teacher. Did you always want to be a teacher?
No, definitely not. So growing up, I struggled in school a lot. Which was kind of hard because my brother, he's just like the smartest person I know. He's like, he's just that person that just he hears something once and he remembers it, and he works for Boeing. He's a tech guy. He's into like Star Wars, computers. Like he's just brilliant. And growing up, I had lots of cousins, and they were all just kind of that way. And then there was me. And I have ADD. I just have always just, been kind of a hot mess. I was that kid that had like everything like shoved into her desk from like, the beginning of the year. Could never find anything, never turned my homework in. Like I was usually like that CD student. So I didn't like school, didn't enjoy school. And so, yeah, I don't.
So how does that even lead to you becoming a teacher then?
So I guess because, like being how I am, I relate to those kids that struggle. And I feel like a lot of teachers really don't. And so my brain is always constantly thinking of how can I make this easier for them? How can I change this? How can I, help them to understand things a little bit better? And so I'm just always like thinking of ways to do that. So I guess the way that I decided I wanted to become a teacher was, you have those couple of awesome teachers in your life that just make a huge impact on you and, kind of show you that you can do this. And so it just, makes you want to help kids that are like you, that people just don't get them. They don't understand, like, why isn't she listening? Well, it's not really that, she doesn't want to listen. It's because maybe you're just not being very interesting right now.
Well, I think what you're saying is so true. There's so many educators that I've talked to, on this podcast, but also through any of my conversations and I'm one of them too. It's like when I became a teacher, I knew I wanted to work with kids, but I hated math in school. like despised it. I was not good at it. I made C's in like all my high school and college math classes. And when I became a teacher, I was like, that's what I want to teach
Yep.
because I struggled with it. I didn't have teachers a lot of times who knew how to help me, and I just felt not good enough in that subject that I knew that I wanted to teach it because I knew how to connect with kids over that. And so I love that you're saying the same thing. It's like I struggled in school, and so I have that unique perspective of I know what that kid's thinking right now. I know how they're feeling, and I may not be able to help them right now, but I come from a different angle.
Yeah, and I'm going to think about how can I help them? What would help them understand it better, kind of thing. So.
Well, and you mentioned that you've been in kindergarten 16 or 17 years. Has it always been kindergarten?
Yes.
Now, when you became a teacher, was that your goal, kindergarten, or did you just end up there and then it was like, I am never leaving?
Yes. My goal was kindergarten. I just love kindergarten. I love little kids. I love that they love you. Like I'm told that I'm beautiful every day and how much they love me every day.
My wife was a preschool teacher for a while, and she said, that's the reason I keep going back to work, because every day somebody's telling me I'm pretty and they love me. And I'm like, yep, that's pre-K and kindergarten.
I love seeing their growth. Like they come in, some kids can't even hold a pencil, don't know any of the letters in their name. And by the end, they can read and write, and it's just amazing. But like I said, growing up, like no one ever was like told me, you're smart, but everyone always said you're so creative, you're so artistic, you're so, so I heard that a lot, and that's a big thing that I can bring, to kindergarten too, is the creativity and I get to do all the fun and hands-on and that kind of stuff. So that's what I love. And like I said, just buying little junk and figuring out how to use that and, make it more fun for them. So,
you've been in it for so many years now. How do you keep it fresh where you don't get bored or get stuck in that rut of doing the same thing?
I'm always trying to think of how to make it more fun, how to make it more hands-on and engaging. I don't know that I've ever taught the same things year after year. Yep. I mean, there's certain things, of course, that you're going to do the same, but every year I try to bring something else, something new to my day. Like this year, it's been morning tubs because when I taught at a different school for 14 years. And so I moved to this school, and I've always taught at a Title I school. But this school, it's a little bit harder. And when I came, most of the kids were holding their pencils like in a fist grasp. And so I was like, oh my gosh, we need to do a whole lot of fine motor. We need to do a whole lot of stuff, with their fine motor skills before we can, do a whole lot of anything else. So I started morning tubs. So when they come in first thing in the morning, they get their tub out. And it's an activity that reinforces the things that we're learning in class, but it also has, just so much fine motor, like interwoven in there, like using tweezers, using tongs, Play-Doh, like little manipulatives, all kinds of things to really try to work those fine motor skills. So that's just one new thing that I did this year. So I'm always trying to do something new.
Well, and I love that, that's such an important piece that people don't always think about. When you think of teachers, you think, oh, they just have a curriculum to teach. It's like, no, we've got a lot of life stuff to get across. Now, you have quite the social media presence. And what I love about you is how humble you are. And if you had never known that thousands of people know you on social media, you would never tell anybody. But, I told you the other day, I was like, oh, Katie, I was in a picture with you at like a and one of my teachers messaged me and she's like, oh my God, oh my goodness. And I was like, what? And she was like, I follow all of her stuff on social media. I just love her. So how did that whole path of sharing your stuff on social media begin for you?
Like I said, it started like when blogs first came on the scene. So I think I just started like at the right time, like
Mhm.
when, everything was new. And through that, it really just is about the relationships that you build. And that is like my most favorite part of, presenting and blogging and just the people that I've met all over the country and really all over the world. So that it's amazing. So like when I started blogging, there would be the SCE National Conference, and we'd all the bloggers would go and we'd meet up there because we'd talk on Facebook, we'd talk on social media. But I remember the first time that I went, and I was staying with this huge like group of girls, like we were all staying in the same room, and people, my friends from home were like, "You're doing what? Like you're going to Las Vegas and staying in a hotel room with these people you've never even met?" I'm like, "What?
Mhm.
Like they're my friends. Like I know
Mhm.
them from the
Yep.
internet."
Yep. And nobody else gets it. Nobody else gets it.
Right, right. So I don't know. So just like those relationships that you build and the people that you meet, and it opens doors for you. And then I started presenting, and things like that. And so yeah, it just kind of
Well,
snowballed.
sometimes I find that for teachers that are like me or like you, who are like creatives, who try to be different and not always do status quo, sometimes you can feel a little out at your school. And I think social media, what for me, and it sounds like for you, was that avenue of, oh, there are people like me and they're doing cool stuff too. And I look at kind of your path. I mean, even just this week, like you went and surprised a friend that you met on social media,
Right,
originally, right?
right.
And you
Yeah.
traveled to surprise that friend with somebody else you had met on social media.
Yes.
And I know that he's here because I've seen him commenting below the video.
Oh
But
yeah.
I mean, that's the crazy world that social media opens up, is these people that you have originally meet online, they become like family, where
Right.
you're willing to fly across the country to surprise them or message them throughout the day and tell them just, these crazy things going on. What has been like the biggest, coolest moment for you?
Oh my goodness. There's been so many. Like, I feel kind of funny talking about, but like, so the one year when we all stayed in a hotel room together, it was like me, Deanna Jump, Hope King, like a whole bunch of those people, Kara Carroll. And I remember them talking about, Deanna was talking about, she wanted to start her own conference. And we were all like in a room together and we were all talking, yeah, you should totally do it. And Hope's like, oh yeah. And she brings her laptop out to the pool and she's already got a logo going. And so that is kind of how Get Your Teach On got started.
Uh-huh.
So that is a cool moment. And just meeting all those people. And really this past week was one of my most favorite memories and favorite times was
Tell
flying.
everybody what you did, what you and Jose did.
Okay, so Jose from Berto and Co, who makes the planners, and
The
he is
the
an amazing
coolest, nicest teacher stuff out
oh
there.
my gosh, yes. So he does a little series called Tell Me More. He just started it. We had gone and he had recorded Adam DeVico in an interview, and Jose lost the drive that the interview was on.
I didn't know that.
Yes. And so Adam was like, oh, because Jose's like, I'm so sorry, I lost your interview. And Adam was like, well, that just means you're just going to have to come out and visit me and we'll have to record it again. And because we have, group messages that we do. And I messaged Jose directly and I was like, what if we really did that? What if we really did go visit him? And so we did. We just made a plan.
In matching suits.
We did.
Because, but if those of you listening or watching don't know who Adam DeVico is, he's a brilliant educator and administrator in North Carolina. But he is always in these super cool
Crazy
suits,
suits.
all kinds of stuff. And so when I saw the photos of Katie and Jose there, and they had the matching suits, I was like, oh, that is the perfect thing to do.
That was Jose's idea. I messaged him and I was like, Jose, what are we going to wear? Are we going to dress up? Should I wear a dress? He's like, what if we wore suits? So we found popsicle suits, crazy as we could. And yeah, that's what we wore. And
Love it.
it was so much fun.
So, you're putting a lot out there on social media.
Mhm.
What was the process like for you of feeling brave enough to actually put that out there? Because I'm sure, knowing you the way I know you, there were probably those moments where you were like, I can't put this out there, or this isn't good enough, or other people have such better stuff. How do you work through that where you still feel comfortable sharing your own brilliance?
So when I first started, I really didn't think about it because blogs were so brand new, and I was just so inspired because, gosh, when I started teaching, there were no resources out there because the internet was new. There was nothing on the internet. You got your ideas from Mailbox Magazine. So when I first started seeing these blogs, there was just such amazing ideas, and I was just so inspired that there weren't that many of them out there yet. And so I just put a few of my ideas out there, and I don't know, then I started meeting other people that had their own blogs. And so, yeah, it just kind of went from there. But yeah, there was definitely times when, you'd type something up or you'd create something and you're like, that's probably, there's better stuff, or it's not good enough to put out there. Yeah, I've definitely been through a lot of that. So
do you still find yourself dealing with some of that doubt now?
Oh gosh, definitely.
How do you work through that?
I don't know that I do. Like, if I'll share something like on my story on Instagram, and it gets so, usually if it's something that people like, they will just like, people will bombard you with questions like, how do you do this? How do you do that? Because really, for me, I make things for my own class,
right?
So I'm doing them with my own class, and I don't have them out there on Teach Pay Teachers a lot of times. Sorry, because I just don't have the time. I have 3 little boys at home, and I still work full time in the classroom, and I present sometimes on the side, and so I just don't have time to get it like TPT ready. Yeah. So when I put it out there and I get a whole lot of interest and I get, a whole lot of comments, then that's kind of my confidence that, okay, people like this, like I can go ahead and like, make it TPT ready and put it out there for other people. So yeah.
I love that comment that you made just then, though, about how you're making this stuff for your classroom first. Like, your goal is not, let me see what will be popular or what will sell. Your goal first is, I'm making this for my classroom, and then I'm just going to put it out there. Mm-hmm. And I love that, because I think that's where your genuine heart shines through, that people actually want to continue following. Because, I think about, for me, the way I work through mine is that I'm constantly convincing myself, nobody's looking at your Instagram. Nobody's looking at your Twitter. Just put it up there so you can document that you did these things, so you have like an easy running record, but don't worry about it. Nobody's going to look. And then I'm like, okay, that's how I'm going to convince myself that nobody's even going to see it. I'm just putting it up there for me to have documentation. So what is something that you're working on growing yourself in right now?
Something I'm working on growing myself in. Just, gosh. I have, this isn't really teacher. I mean, it kind of is, but I have always had like a lot of anxiety and a lot of, like trouble just putting myself out there. Right. And so like, you don't really see it a whole lot when I'm just talking one-on-one with someone, but when there's a big group of people, I'm kind of like, and, step back a little bit. And I don't mean to, but people will be like, what's wrong? Like, you don't seem like yourself. And it's really just because there's just so much going on. And it's just, I don't know. It's just how I am. And so I have been really trying to put myself out there more. Like, presenting is something that I would have never in a million years imagined myself doing. But again, like with the relationships and friendships that I've made with people, and people just kind of push you, and they're like, you should try this. You would be so good at it. You can do it, And so several years ago, I tried it, and, you just get better at it. And so I'm still trying to push myself to get better at that kind of stuff, because even like this interview that I'm doing with you right now, like several years ago, there's just no way that I ever would have saw myself doing this,
Well,
and I would have.
it's so funny because what I love about doing these shows is, so for those of you listening or watching, I contact people that I want to talk to and share their story like weeks in advance. And I kid you not, with almost every single guest, it's like, oh my gosh, what do I have to say? Like, am I going to sound crazy? Like, are you sure you want to have me on there? And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I only asked you because you're like brilliant or doing these creative things, or like you inspire me. And like every single one of y'all, and I know I'm guilty of it too, but you all do the same thing. Like even you, like this week was like, are you sure? Like, I'm so nervous. And I'm like, it's funny because that's how everyone is. And when we get in front of the camera and we bring it up like this, it's like, it looks more natural, but no, we're like freaking out behind the scenes and everything.
Well, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Not even close to the only one. No. Well, Andrea Keller asked a great question. She said, how do you keep up with all of the questions you get through social media?
Oh, I'm really bad, you guys. Like I said, I am one of, like, in the classroom, I'm pretty organized just because teaching kindergarten, you have to be. Like, I have a place for everything, because if you don't, like, you will drown, in the chaos. And so my classroom is super organized, but every other part of my life is not. Like, seriously, when I present and people see my desktop, they're like, oh, because it's just like filled with icons. And like my phone, when people see my phone and there's like 500 unread text messages.
Oh, no, you're killing me. You're killing me. I can't handle that.
Like thousands of unread emails. Like that's just how I roll. And so so when you don't hear a response from me on social media, it's just like, I'll read it and I'm like, oh yeah, and you totally have the intentions that you're going to respond, or that, maybe even thought you did respond, because in your head you really did. But so if you don't get a response from me, I'm sorry. That's just how, my brain it literally cannot keep track of it all. So
from one ADHD person to another, totally. So what do you feel like, Katie, is the biggest thing you've learned about yourself since becoming a teacher?
Is that just that, I can do it. Like growing up, I never thought I was smart, and people are smart in different ways. And, I always heard, oh, you're so creative. You're so, like, I always heard that kind of thing. But, like, I'll never forget. I know I always hear you tell your story about your grandma, and it always makes me think about my grandma, because she was the exact same way. But I had a lot of cousins, but she just was so, like all of us, she was just like so proud of us. And so when you tell your story, I always think about my grandma. And like, I remember when I was a little kid and I would always like collect things. Like one time I remember we had Kentucky Fried Chicken and I got the box and I got the paper towel rolls and I like made, I would get her tape and I would just like make these like creations out of this junk. And I remember her like looking at this and saying, "You are so smart." And like, I had never heard that before, right. And like, I believed it, it's a big thing for a kid to hear, when you've never heard it before, and people mean well when they say, "Oh, you're so creative." And I appreciate that, you're so creative, you're so artistic, but to hear you're so smart, like I had never heard that before. And so, I don't know, like, I believed it when she said it to me. That's the way she would talk to you, like I believed her when she said it to me. And so just like going through this teaching career after 15 years and being successful, and because I know I had a lot of teachers along the way that would probably be like, "Wait, she's doing this, she's presenting, she's a teacher." So I don't know. It just has taught me that, I can do it. like I am smart. Thanks, Grandma.
Well, and I think that story is such a powerful reminder of the importance of the words that we use, especially
Yeah,
with kids, even the littlest kids, because that's something that
absolutely.
happened in your childhood, but you still remember it and hold tight to it this day.
Yeah.
And that's a positive memory. And a lot of
Mhm.
our kids bring those positive ones, but also the negative words that are spoken to them as well. I know you've come a long way and had a lot of success. Do you still sometimes find your own insecurities seeping back in and bringing up memories from when you felt like that as a kid?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. All the time, every day. So I think we all go through that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, every day. And I know that people, they see this little picture of you on social media. They see these little snapshots and you're usually posting your highlights. So it's just important for people to realize like this is just like our highlight reel, like I'm just a real person. I'm just a little kindergarten teacher from Southern Illinois, like just just like everyone else. So just coming to work every day and teaching kids, and I just happen to have an Instagram account. So
Well, but I think that's really important for people to hear you say that you still struggle and that it's not, yes, you're way better than you were and it's not like it used to be, but it's not like it never creeps back in
oh yeah,
because some people, when they see these images we put online, they think that those struggles are now gone and that they're the
oh yeah,
only
no,
one struggling. And I know for me, I mean, it's like, yeah, there's like a crazy, terrible moment in my day every day where I'm like,
oh
oh my gosh,
absolutely.
maybe I wasn't meant to be an educator,
Yeah,
or maybe I'm not good at this. And it's
absolutely.
like,
And like teaching at the same school for 14 years and then coming to a brand new school, it has been a huge learning
oh, I
experience.
bet.
So if I posted about what happened in my classroom every day this year, you'd be like, oh, okay.
I know when I wrote stories from Web with my team, they were like, so are we writing a book about like the real stuff we can share or the stuff we gotta be PC about? And I was like, yeah, I don't think anybody's ever gonna come out with a book that's the real stuff about what happens in school. But we all know what really goes down in the school.
Yep.
So, Katie, the one question I always love to end my conversations on is if there was something that you wish more people understood, what would that be?
Just that everyone learns different. And if I just think a lot of teachers, and I'm not trying to, bash a lot of teachers or anything, but like, I just feel like a lot of people that come into education are people that things have come easily for, or, that they haven't had to struggle through school. And that's why they've liked school and, wanted to become a teacher, because they had a positive experience. Just realize, those kids that aren't listening, that was my biggest thing. Like, I could not listen to someone standing up, just talking all day, unless it was something I was very interested in, or unless it was somebody that was very excited and very energetic. It's not that I didn't want to listen or that, I'd come to school like, I'm going to listen today, but I just could not, if it's something I wasn't interested in or something, then my mind would just drift, to something else. So just understand that it's not kids being defiant. It's not kids trying to, not listen to what you're saying. It's just that, sometimes they can't focus for that long. It's not that they don't want to, they just can't. So, try to understand that and try to find ways, that you can reach those kids that are struggling and not just label them as like a behavior problem or being disrespectful or defiant. Try to put yourself in their shoes, and try to find ways to really engage them and get them excited to learn. So.
Awesome. Perfect way to end this. Katie, I love everything that you do. I love how genuine and big-hearted you are and how you care about kids and people so much. And I was thrilled when you agreed to come on. And I love the stories you shared today. So thank you for coming on and for everything that you do.
Thank you so much, Todd.
And thank you, everybody, for listening or watching to another episode of Tell Your Story. Remember, you can check out past episodes on my YouTube channel, iTunes, or SoundCloud, and hear the other brilliant guests I've had on as well share pieces of their story. I hope today this story has inspired you to be brave enough to get out there and tell your story, because every story matters. Have a great night, everyone.